Great. Thanks a lot, Stuart. Will you handle the page turn for me if you can, please? Yeah, so look, just to flick to the first main page is just a disclaimer which we'll take as read. Look, just to give you a bit of history of our business, in case you're not aware of it, you can see on this graph on the bottom left, we've grown sales every single year. We use the British financial year, so that's 31 March, but we've roughly quadrupled sales in the last 4 years. So our sort of aim we're really pushing is to grow our sales. Last year we grew by 25%. And then also on that graph on the right, importantly, you can see when we floated back in December 2015, and basically we did that in order to raise some capital to accelerate our R&D portfolio. We did explain to people that we would lose money after that, and I think, to be frank, we did. But as you can see, the business has since recovered and we're making profit. We're still investing a heck of a lot in the business though, so our main aim predominantly is growth rather than manoeuvring for short-term profitability. Yeah, and look as well, just quickly as well to show you in terms of finances, we've always been very focused though on running things well. When I started the business, literally started with $50,000 startup capital and a garage. So we are used to running things sort of lean and mean, really. You can see in this graph on the left, after we floated, we literally went down to 5 million equity, but we were very confident we were always going to build it. As you can see, we're now building that debt to equity position. But to be frank, we're still most focused on growing the business, but obviously we fully appreciate financials are important, very important at the same time. We are paying a small dividend, but you can see last year though, it still grew, quite considerably on a per share basis, paying out about 11% of our profits, and we'd sort of aim to keep on doing that going forward, but still have plenty of money to invest within the business. So we have a number of markets around the world. Australia is our main market, so we are still mainly an Australian business in terms of our focus. So selling over $100 million, we grew by 15% last year. Have a number of strong positions in the Australian market. We're number one lubricating eye drop in the whole Aussie market, bigger than specialist eye care companies like Alcon. We have number one combination analgesic as well. And you can see on that graph on the right, we do focus quite a lot on OTC products, mainly because we see that, they've got a lot of flexibility. They're not affected by government PBS changes and things like that. But having said that, we still do have some PBS business and we still do have some hospital business, and we'll keep growing all these different segments as we go forward. But we are still very focused on the OTC market. We do also have a good sized business in the New Zealand market, sort of approaching 50 million and a lot of growth potential left. Basically across Australia and New Zealand over the next sort of 2.5 years, we envisage launching around 60 new products. So we have a really healthy pipeline. It's either products we develop ourselves, but we also in-license quite a lot of products as well. You can see the New Zealand businesses on that graph on the right, bottom right, the pie graph is a little bit more diverse in terms where prescription is a bit bigger in the New Zealand market, but we still have the majority of our businesses in the OTC category as well. So we then, outside Australia and New Zealand, we're very focused on growing our international business. So we divide that into Asia and ex-Asia and ANZ, which we call international. Now, in Asia, it's really only just starting. We grew the business to just over 10 million last year, but got a lot of work going on. We've been very successful approval in Korea with our Maxigesic IV, our intravenous combination painkiller product. So we've had good success in the Korean market. We've got cross-border trade, which we run out of our office in Hong Kong. But also we are launching and have approvals in mainland China. So our first approval came last year for a product called Cristoderm, which is a proprietary slow-release hydrogen peroxide, which treats any cuts or scrapes or acne. And we're preparing to launch that in China just prior to the end of this calendar year. And that's certainly a big project for our company. So international, outside ANZ and Asia, we are selling in a bit over 70 countries, if you look at that graph on the top right. So building this up over time, we expect to get to over 100 in the next kind of few years. And we grew our sales, you can see on that graph on the top left. So we're growing our international sales. There can be an element of lumpiness in this because we have distributors and licensees, and they will often buy big chunks of product in kind of one go, and they might not buy for another 6 or 8 months, something like that. So there is an element of lumpiness, but overall one of our real focuses is in international. We have launched with Hikma, which is a large American, well, originally actually they're listed on the London Stock Exchange, but they're the third largest supplier of injectables in the US market. We've launched our Maxigesic IV product into the United States market. That's currently selling in the US, and we're also just preparing to launch our patented rapid-acting Maxigesic, which has a patent until 2039. We're just preparing to launch that in the US market prior to the end of this calendar year as well. So, look, this is just a quick overview of the global map and kind of, what we're up to. Countries in yellow is where we have launched product. So you can see, obviously, Australia, New Zealand, good chunks of Asia. You see a blob with Korea up there as well. Starting to roll out in Africa, most of Europe. We sell in every European country, and then North America, and starting in South America just recently. What we've also done, which has been a lot of work and an ongoing project, is we strengthened up our business hubs or offices. So Sydney and Auckland have always been with us for ages. We've also after that add Kuala Lumpur and Singapore, and then Hong Kong after that. We bought a company in South Africa. And a lot of this expansion we're buying things, spending a lot of money in R&D. Remember, we're doing this out of our internal profits. We're not running back to the share market to do capital raises, which in turn dilute our shareholders. In the United States, we set up in Detroit to run our US operations, and also in Canada, in Toronto. And we do have a base as well that runs Europe, based out of Ireland, in the south of Ireland, in Clonmel. And then we have quite a reasonable office in London, which targets the UK market. Just a common denominator with most of these, other than the US, is they very much run off the British regulatory system. So even Hong Kong, and there's a lot of synergies then, and not too difficult in terms of the regulatory environment, because they're all closely related. So that's really why we've chosen these specific countries. Just a quick summary of our kind of 3 largest potential markets. So the UK we see as a really good opportunity. Basically what happened is, as you know, Brexit happened, and then kind of in a lot of cases the UK got left out on a limb where it doesn't fit into Europe, but it's still a very good market. And then there's a lot of opportunities to in-license drugs that otherwise will get left in limbo because companies just do a European deal. So look, we've launched ourselves our Combogesic IV, Combogesic tablets, which is called Maxigesic in Australia. We've had a good successful launch in Boots, and we've been invited by Superdrug to also get listed with them, and that's happened, and that's going well. And the intravenous, we're also selling that ourselves. But, we have a good pipeline. We have a total of 6 approvals now, another 4 in the pipeline, and then a further pipeline of 22. Same in Europe. We basically purchased a number of drug licenses from, actually it was a cannabis company that went into bankruptcy, and we swooped in and purchased a number of drug licenses, pharma licenses, not for CBD products. So we've acquired them, and we're busy expanding those around Europe. Presently, where sales will start in the second half of our financial year. We do have a lot of things happening more in the second half of our financial year this year. And same obviously in the US, a massive market, as you know. We have a couple of distributors for our Combogesic tablets. We are in the process of appointing more and launching it. It's been manufactured and been labelled in October, so they're aiming to get sales in well before the American Thanksgiving holidays. And then we have a range of consumer products, and we're basically working on rolling the launches of those out prior to the end of our financial year. So look, with our R&D, we have an existing portfolio. We spend about 12 million a year on R&D. We're upping that to about 15. We don't run on a percentage of sales. We just build it bottom up. Have our own R&D team. We run all our own studies. My background is I was medical director of Roche, so I've been well trained and schooled by the Swiss and the art of drug development. So we run it ourselves. We save a heck of a lot of money by doing that rather than by employing CROs. Have been audited by US FDA and passed with totally clean bill of health and no questions, so we are confident we're doing it properly. So at the moment we're rolling out a range of products, Maxigesic, multiple dose forms, Cristoderm. We acquired an enema product which has almost no competition around the world, so rolling that out. Another product called Kiwi Soothe and an analgesic cream, a couple of strengths of those. So those are things we're rolling out right now. Yeah, look, all our drug developments are generally, or almost all of them, are what are called 505(b)(2)s. For those of you, I'm sure you'll know that they take an existing molecule, they repurpose it. Like it might be an oral medicine, and then you turn it into a topical medicine. You still have to do most of the clinical studies, and then also develop a separate IP patent position. But we've got a number of projects. We do focus on 7 therapeutic categories, so we make sure that R&D fits in with that. Dermatology, got a product called Pascomer, which will file next year. It's got an orphan indication for facial angiofibromas, but another one for port wine stains, which is non-orphan. And we've done our first pivotal studies with facial angiofibromas, and it worked very well, so we know it works. And basically we're just finishing off some manufacturing items in order to refile that in various markets. Strawberry birthmarks, we have a topical treatment for that. We're developing keloid scars is quite a significant problem in Asian populations and also dark-skinned people, so we're developing that as a topical treatment. There are no real treatments for that. VLS is a nasty female condition which affects a reasonably significant number of women, so it's not an orphan. It is a significant condition. We're doing a partnership with a European company called Hyloris. Eye care, we've just been to FDA to clarify our clinical trials, so we're doing an antibiotic eye drop for drug-resistant eye infections, another treatment for burning mouth syndrome. We have a drug delivery system that's patented, avoids an injection, and we're just starting our first clinicals prior to Christmas. We do also have some generics we develop to make a bit of money, sort of easy. Well, it's never easy, but to make a bit of money quicker, which helps fund the R&D pipeline, which is the next line. And then, look, we're pretty close. We've agreed the basic terms for a large clinical trial project with a new chemical entity. Market's about 3 billion, growing to 7 billion in the next 5 years. And this particular product, I think, is very attractive because instead of having 2 injections, which you have to have for most patients, you only need 1 injection. So that is a very interesting project. It's a big market. Similar products in Australia, which we'd argue are not as good, sell on the PBS. They sell about 120 million Aussie dollars, but it's a real global market, but it does need a 1,000 patient clinical study, and that's the bit that we will fund and do, and basically we have a profit share arrangement with the original European company. Yeah, very quickly, to give you a bit of an idea about how some of our stuff works, this is example strawberry birthmarks. The only current treatment is oral propranolol. It's toxic. It's only reserved for very serious cases. What our treatment does, or how we develop it, is we grow the strawberry birthmark cells in the lab with our partners, and then if you look at the graph on the bottom right, we identify which drugs actually stop the growth of strawberry birthmark cells and suppress them. Then in that middle picture, what we're doing too is that we're then taking the different drugs that work, and we're investigating synergy. And from that, you can get a synergy plot that identifies the most synergistic ratio, like whether it be 10-1 or 3-1 for a couple of drugs. So you get that, and that also generates you a patent IP position as well. So basically, the whole program is sort of identifying drugs that inhibit strawberry birthmarks, identifying the synergistic combinations. So we've got a couple of patent applications. Some have already been granted, 2041, 2044. So good long IP pathways and stuff. Then, we do the formulation work in Canada. We have investigated a number. We have like 4 creams, 2 ointments, 2 gels we're investigating at the moment. Then next year we'll meet with US FDA to finalise the clinical pathway. Yeah, so actually, I did have another slide. It might have got missed out, but look, it was just summarising really what we're doing. We are, positioned to kind of further grow our business significantly around the globe, rolling out Maxigesic and its line extensions, the additional pipeline we've just looked at. Locally in Australasia, we literally have 60 new products over the next kind of 24 to 30 months to really keep growing and expanding our local business. And then around the world, we have those numerous launches in the markets where we've set up ourselves. And we've set a short-term target of 300 million. So that's where we're aiming for. But, once we tick that off, we'll clearly also have another target as well. So we are committed to growing our business, and that's really the pathway we're on. So thank you very much, and happy to try and answer any questions. Thank you.